Is anyone here the kind of student who you'd start revising on the day of the exam? I remember I used to do that. Like I literally wouldn't start studying for the exam up and like I'd wake up early, like 5 a.m. or something, and I'd literally wake up before the exam, and that's when I would start. Has anyone done that before? How embarrassing is that, bro? I literally started revising like 3 hours before the exam started. Just there, like you've been living in this like carb brain fog for the last few months. You're there, like trying to just get some fucking dopamine, and you go to the exam, and everyone's there with a coded, highlighted study notes in like an organized folder, and here's you with like bags underneath your eyes, and you've like read the introduction to the booklet so far. Yeah, the school system's definitely for you, bro. God, I wasted years of my life in that education system, man. I always like to say this, for the guys who are struggling right now. Um, I performed quite poorly in school. I performed quite poorly in university. If you imagine a university hall that I was in, there's the professor at the front, there's all the nerds in the first few rows, there's all like the normal guys, there's some girls there, there's a bunch of guys there, there's probably like 100 people inside the lecture hall, and then there's me asleep there in the lecture hall. But you want to know what's interesting? A few years later, everyone in that lecture hall, including the professor, put together makes less money than I do. Very interesting, isn't it? How interesting is that? Oh, wow. 2K a month, 3K a month. Little fucking 12, 14, 15-year-olds I know make that much. But, if you are a good boy in school, you might be able to eventually start making 3.5K a month, hopefully. Bro, 14-year-olds are making more than that on the internet these days. Okay, let me school you on this, right? So the last few weeks, I'm going to be totally honest with you, and I want you to spam L in the chat when you hear this. I've been at Jeffrey. I've been slacking. Last few weeks, I have literally been living 5 to 10% of my potential. Honestly, I've been like, enjoying the dopamine of traveling and, spending hours getting food every day with my girl and stuff. Like, oh yeah, this is really fun, guys. And you know what's like interesting about that? I've had less fun doing this. I've been less loving to my girlfriend doing this, and I've made less progress to my goals. That's a big fat fucking L, isn't it? Like, just net loss everywhere. And it was reading the book Hard Times Create Strong Men. Hard Times Create Strong Men by Stefan Ernio. Everyone's heard of the quote, haven't they? Hard times create strong men create good times create weak men create hard times. We've heard that quote before a bunch of times, but this is the book that really expands on this. And I'm rereading the book as I turn into a pussy over the last few weeks, just like traveling, enjoying myself, eating food and everything. And obviously, I've been breaking my diet here. I've been having like a fuck ton of sugar and shit as well. And I haven't done any like totally destructive habits. Haven't been taking drugs or anything like that at all. So it's like it's not destructive, but it's certainly like I'm on a positive state. But it's kind of like it's a very low level of performance for me. That's why it's like a big L, because I can do so much more with my life. Holy fuck! There's a particular time for me in 2020, a few years ago, when I moved back home to my family's house. I say this story all the time, but like I was fucking grinding away. I was running outside, going for runs first thing in the morning, skipping, boxing, and then I'd get my gymnastic rings, take them to the park. Even if it was raining, snowing, cold, whatever, I'd go to the park. It's all wet, it's muddy. I didn't give a fuck. My shoes were caked in mud, like fucking like hardcore style. Run through the mud, go to my tree, set it up on the tree like these sort of exercise rings, and do my workout there first thing in the morning when it was dark and cold. And my fingers were fucking so cold with pain and everything. Come back home, run back home, go straight into the garage and do another fucking workout there using dumbbells like that we had in our little home gym there, and then go start my work day, work for hours. And this was like literally why I was able to grow on YouTube so well, because I was just so fucking disciplined. And when I was doing that, I didn't do any of the fun habits. I didn't watch any bullshit. I didn't play any games. I didn't watch any anime. I didn't listen to like degenerate music. I didn't even sleep with girls. I didn't do any of those bad habits. And guess what? That was some of the most fun period of my life. How interesting is that? Is that when you aren't doing those fun habits that all the Jeffreys tell you that you should be doing, like video games and drugs and partying, when you're doubling down on self improvement, on your discipline, that's actually when masculine men like us will have the most fun. Because the greatest sense of enjoyment and fulfillment for a masculine man, what is it? What is the greatest, like, what is the lifestyle or the greatest sense of joy and fulfillment for a masculine man? What gives a masculine man like a lot of fulfillment? Purpose, progress, working, discipline. Add a family to that as well. And that guy, add family and health to that. And oh my God, that is literally the dream life. Am I right? Purpose, great work, like meaningful work, family, health. Is that not just fucking imagine just having that as a lifestyle? Like imagine having work that means a lot to you, that pays more than the bills and actually gives you like a pretty lavish, like you don't have to be materialistic, but it makes you financially secure and you fucking enjoy it and it helps people. Then imagine adding in a beautiful feminine wife to that. Who like you have sex with all the time and she actually fucking loves you, she supports you, she's a good woman. Then imagine adding kids to that and they look up to you and you get to teach them things. And imagine just how much of a fun little like hour that is of you like teaching your boy how to do push-ups or something. And then add in your health so that you've got no health problems, your children have no health problems. Just all three. That's it. Three things is really what we fucking need, man. That's all we need. Three things. And here we are trying to get all this fancy shit, materialistic shit. Here we are thinking like, oh, if I message that one more girl on Instagram, maybe I'll be worthy of love or something. Is it YouTube I should do, or is it the agency model, or is it this? We just need meaningful work, we need family, and we need our health. So there's a quote I read yesterday, which I want to share with you. And for all the guys who were just typing before of what task they procrastinate on, this will help you. For the last little while, I've just been, asking myself all these deeper questions. Is this the work that I really want to do? So if you don't know yet, it's like I'm kind of like financially free. I don't have like millions in the bank, but I've got enough that I'd be able to live off for about like probably about 20 years now. So it's like I'm basically like fine financially, and like the business that I have makes a lot of money. So my business is like YouTube is about 10% of how much money we make, but it's specifically like the audience when they go and buy the program. If you go and check the link in the description, there's one program that I sell, which is kind of like a private community. It's kind of like a Discord server, but on steroids with so much extra stuff. And that's the one product that I sell, and that makes a lot of money, right? That makes like probably it's going to make we'll very easily cross $1 million this year, probably closer to about $2 million of 2023. That's how much money we're going to make, which is fucking a lot, right? When you have met your needs like that, you no longer need to like work in the same way that you used to. You're like, oh wow, like so I wanted to come out of love and out of like service rather than out of like this sort of hateful energy of like, yeah, men are also weak and I hate you weak men. Rather, I wanted to be like, oh yeah, I used to struggle as well. I want you to rise up. So this book that I read just recently, Hard Times Create Strong Men, it talks about that cycle that when we experience something hard and disciplined, that makes us into the stronger guy who's more capable. And this is something that'll be valuable to you. If there's a specific task that you're struggling with right now that you're not doing consistently, so for me it's recording videos, it's the kind of really ask yourself like why that's happening. Because in this book, which again, the book title is Hard Times Create Strong Men by Stefan Ernium. In this book, he starts mocking like the sort of average guy, like the sort of modern day man. And he starts like imitating them. And he says like, but I want to go travel around Europe. I want to go find myself. I don't love my work. I want to go find something more fun. And he starts making fun of it. And as soon as I read that, I was like, bro, fuck me. He's talking about me. I've got a successful business. I've got people who rely on me. And still I haven't been like, doing the work that I should have been doing, because I've literally just been like slacking and thinking like, oh, but like sometimes recording's kind of hard. I don't really feel like recording right now. I'll record later. Maybe I don't want to record anymore. I want to do something else. You've got to just be careful that you don't have this like weak mindset. It's like, oh, but I don't really feel like it right now. Like I know I should do it, but I don't really want to, and I'm not sure if I can do it. I'm too tired. I don't really want to. I think for a lot of us guys who said that we procrastinate from those important tasks, So you know what a quick tip is that you could use right now and for like the rest of today and whenever you wanted to. Whenever you find yourself not being disciplined, so there's some task that you've got to do, use that like a whiny voice when you say it. So you know when you cope and you say like, "Oh yeah, I'm not going to work out today." Don't say it in your normal masculine voice. Just say it in the little wimpy voice and just see if you take yourself seriously. So if you don't want to go to the gym today, don't cope and say like, "Oh, I'll probably go tomorrow." Add the wimpy voice. Oh, I'll probably go tomorrow. And it's like you can't even take yourself seriously. You're like, oh, bro, shut up, man. I'm going to the gym right now. You pussy. Like, oh, I don't really feel like studying. Like, obviously, you'll look like you've got mental health problems if anyone opened up your door and you're just there, like facing the wall. Like, well, I don't really feel like studying today. Like, imagine if your parents walk in. But it's a good piece of advice, isn't it? Just you have two parts inside of you. You have the Jeffrey part and you have the Adonis part. You have the weak part that chases comfort and pleasure, and you have the strong part that chases purpose, goals, and discipline. When you are currently chasing purpose, goals, and discipline, why don't you add like this kind of why don't you just assume that is the real you? Why don't you assume that this is like your default state? That yeah, when you say to yourself, yeah, okay, I'm going to the gym right now, you think, yep, this is who I am. But when the Jeffrey thoughts infiltrate your brain, because everyone kind of understands what I'm saying, right? It kind of feels like sometimes you have like almost two brains. One brain is telling you, okay, let's do the hard work, let's get our goals and stuff. But you feel like you have another part of your brain which is like telling you, let's still do some of the bad stuff. Just write yes or no. Does anyone feel like that? Like there's almost this internal battle to still do like some of the bad habits that are bad for you. Yes or no? Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's a very common experience. And if I'm honest, that doesn't really go away. You can be years in self improvement, and that Jeffrey brain will still come up. And if you think that it will go away, you can be blindsided, and suddenly, before you know it, you start slipping up with like a next level of cope. So just kind of like keep that in mind. Just think to yourself, okay, there's a Jeffrey part of my brain, a weak part, and an Adonis part of my brain, the strong part. Just say to yourself and just make yourself believe the Adonis part is who you actually are, but the Jeffrey part it pops up because of like decades that you spent in that sort of like weak world where you were addicted to porn, you were addicted to video games because of the education system, the feminism, and everything, right? So when the Jeffrey part of your brain starts piping up, that's when you just imitate it. That's when you just mock it. Anytime you're about to like skip the hard work, literally just say it, like speak it in such a wimpy voice you won't be able to take yourself seriously. I don't feel like recording right now. I'll record later. That's what my Jeffrey part says. I just want to go back to sleep. One person said, I'm gonna go to the club right now. For what am I even doing this? Working out is hard. I'm just gonna fap just once. I don't want to draw today. I don't feel like jogging right now. I don't feel like hitting the gym right now. A lot of it is just I don't feel like it, isn't it? And what is a very important sentence that I say at the end of all of my videos? Do the hard work, especially when you don't feel like it. That's the single most important sentence I've ever journaled, like I've wrote down on paper before. Because when I was struggling to study, when I was struggling to become an entrepreneur, I realized it was because I just simply didn't feel like doing the work. And it was almost like this huge realization where one day I just realized that I could do the work even if I didn't feel like it. And not only that I could do it, but also that it would probably even be important that I did, especially when I didn't do it, because that is then an opportunity for you to train your discipline and your capacity as a man. You see, like if there's one trait that defines masculinity, I believe it's discipline. I believe it's doing the work that you need to do, even if you don't feel like it. I believe it's like overriding your emotions. You see the strongest, most masculine men around. They're not the influencers, obviously, but like they're like, the guys who are in like the Navy SEALs, they're the guys who are in those construction jobs and stuff. They don't ask themselves how they feel. They need like, being aware of your emotions and being emotionally intelligent is very important. But you need to be able to do the work, whether you feel like it or not, whether you feel tired or not. And if you are like this kind of masculine man, you will absolutely have a better life if you just do this kind of like David Goggins, Andrew Tate hard work mode then you will, like, this sort of pussy intellectual, like, oh, but just do it when you feel like it, just be easy on yourself, go to Europe and find yourself, go traveling, go find what you love. Like, this definitely, you want to go and, like, find your purpose and stuff. That's important. You want to set the right goals. That's important. Traveling can also be nice, but you definitely don't want to be slacking in the work that you should be doing, because men can't respect you. The truth is, if I'm just going to be honest, there's 1,000 guys in the chat. For probably 900 of the guys here, I would assume, get absolutely no respect from other men or women. Like 90% of men don't deserve respect. And that's not the way that you want to live, is it? Because if we're just being honest, do you want the respect of other guys? Because there's a lot of guys who'll cope and say, oh, well, I don't care about anyone else. I'm not one of them. I'll always tell you the truth. I'm not one of these guys who'll fucking lie. Yes, fuck yes, I want the respect of other men. Fuck yes, you want the respect of other men. So let's speak right now about masculinity. How do we get respect from other men? Work hard, competence, respect yourself, become stronger, become exceptional, become better than them, be better than them. I'd be careful with that. Being much better than someone else might not get you their respect. It might actually get you their jealousy and resentment. So it's not so much that you're better than them, but it is more so that you have a track record of doing the work that only you can do, and doing it well and doing it better and being reliable and showing up on time. So the way that you get respect as a man, because most people miss the second part, work hard, absolutely. But number two is caring. So you worked hard, you came into the tribe, you worked hard, you helped us bring down the boar. Let's say you're a stranger, but I helped you, like I let you come onto the hunt to see if you're worthy or not. And when I give you the slice of boar, what would be the ultimate way that you would impress the tribe leader? You'd thank him for that slice, like in that chunk of meat, and you'd walk straight over to like the elderly woman in my tribe and give some to her. Now think about my level of fucking respect for you. Now I'm thinking, fuck me, like he's actually one of us, aren't I? That brings a fucking tear to my eye, bro. That is what I call masculinity. You've not just worked hard with discipline, but then you've also shared, you've also showed that you've got a heart, that like you've made sure that everyone's got one. Now I trust you more. Now I like you more. That shows like a very good level of like morals and values, doesn't it? So use that today. If there's just two things you take, work super hard, do the work, even if you don't really feel like it anyway. So do the hard work. But then two, see in some ways that you can show that you've got heart. Show us not only your strength, but also your heart, because that's ultimate fucking power. That's where you get like such a good level of respect and admiration from other people. Iman is doing this really well. He's worked really hard and he's given away the money to like his subscribers. You don't need to, be ultra wealthy or anything, but you can just think to yourself today, how can I, one, work really hard and, develop strength and show my strength and basically hunt down the boar, even though it's kind of scary. And two, how can I basically give that away? Very powerful. Very, very powerful. I'm going to head off, boys. Hope you're liking these little morning live streams, and have a good day. Mwah.